Every morning, Zola and Jomo sit across from each other at the kitchen table. 2 cups of tea, 2 phones, and a silence that says everything they won't. Jomo speaks of the day ahead, traffic, meetings, errands, his voice steady, but Zola's heart aches with every word. Why don't you understand me, she thinks, her eyes searching his face for a flicker of connection. Why can't you hear what I'm not saying? Across the table, Yomo steals a glance at her. She's right there, yet slipping further away. He clenches his fist under the table. I love her, he tells himself. So why does it feel like I'm losing her? Zola met Jomo at a small community event one warm evening. It wasn't planned. She was just there to support a friend. But when their eyes met across the crowd, something clicked. It felt soft and easy, like they had known each other for years. They started talking about little things at first, childhood memories, funny school stories, favorite foods. Then the talk turned deeper, dreams, hopes, what they believed love should feel like. And all through the night, they laughed, real, happy laughter that made their cheeks hurt and their hearts full. Zola looked at Jomo and thought, maybe he's different. Maybe this time, someone will really see me. Jomo, sitting beside her under the stars, felt a calm in his chest he hadn't known in a long time. She's kind. She listens. I want to hold on to this, he thought quietly. That night felt like magic. It wasn't loud or wild. It was calm, peaceful, and full of quiet promise. But even in that happy moment, both of them carried something inside. Jomo had always found it hard to talk about his feeling. He was the kind of man who helped with his actions, not his words. He believed love was about being there, doing things, showing up. But deep down, he feared that if he tried to open up, the words wouldn't come out right. He worried he would mess it up. Zola, on the other hand, had been misunderstood too many times. She had opened her heart before, only to feel small or ignored. So even as she laughed with Jomo, part of her held back. What if he's like the others? What if he hears me but doesn't really listen? She didn't want to seem too emotional, too needy. So she smiled, but kept her deeper feelings tucked away. Still, in that moment, everything felt right. The way he looked at her, the way she smiled at him. It felt like they had finally found someone who could truly understand them. But neither of them knew that love needs more than just good beginning. It needs truth, it needs courage, and it needs real understanding. That night, as they walked home under the moonlight, their fingers brushed, and Jomo gently held her hand. Zola didn't pull away. They didn't say anything, but they both felt it, that quiet hope that maybe, just maybe, this could be something special. They didn't know yet that silence, fear, and unspoken feelings could one day come between them. But for now, they were just 2 people starting something beautiful, something that felt like home. At first, everything between Zola and Jomo seemed fine. They still talked every day, like couples do. They sent good morning messages, shared jokes, and asked how each other's day was. But slowly, something started to change. Their conversations became short and plain, talking about what they ate, what time they got home, or plans for the weekend. It felt more like they were just checking in, not truly talking. Zola could feel the silence hiding between their words. Zola wanted more. She wanted to share her thoughts, her fears, her dreams. She wanted to talk about the things that truly mattered to her. But whenever she tried to open up, Jomo would either change the topic or give her a simple, flat answer. It'll be fine, he'd say, or let's not talk about that now. Zola would sit there, quiet, feeling like her heart was speaking to a wall. She began to wonder, does he even know who I am? Or does he only see the version of me that smiles and nods? Jomo, on the other hand, didn't know how to deal with emotions. He was used to hiding his feelings. When Zola asked deep questions or tried to talk about her worries, he felt uncomfortable. Not because he didn't care, but because he didn't know what to say. He thought keeping things light was the best way to avoid fights or pain. But in doing that, he didn't realize he was pushing her away. Zola's eyes didn't shine like they used to. Her laughter didn't come as easily. She became quieter, but Jomo didn't ask why. He thought maybe she was tired or just busy, so he stayed in his own world, going through the motions, not seeing that she was slowly slipping away. And each time Zola tried to share her feelings and was met with silence or confusion, she felt smaller, lonelier, like she was shouting underwater and no one could hear her. She missed the early days when everything felt natural and close. Now, it felt like they were just 2 people living side by side, not truly together. Jomo noticed the change too. He felt the distance, but didn't know how to fix it. Every time he tried to talk, it felt like he was failing, so he gave up and became even more quiet. He told himself maybe things would go back to normal on their own, but deep inside, both of them were hurting. Both wanted to be seen, both wanted to be heard, but neither knew how to break the wall that had slowly grown between them. Zola walked through the door, her shoulders heavy from a long, tiring day at work. All she wanted was a warm hug, someone to tell her, "I see you, I hear you." But when she entered the house, Jomo didn't even look up from his phone. He muttered a soft, "Hey," without lifting his eyes, and the silence that followed felt loud. She stood there for a moment, hoping maybe he'd ask how her day was. He didn't. So she quietly went to the kitchen, dropped her bag and leaned against the counter. Her heart felt tight, like she was holding back tears. She wasn't asking for much, just a little attention, a little care, something simple to remind her that she mattered. Later, she tried to talk. "Today was really hard," she said gently, looking at him, hoping he'd sense the weight in her voice. Jomo, still distracted, replied, "Yeah, same here. My day was crazy too." Then he went on talking about traffic, his boss, and how hungry he was. Zola didn't say anything. She just nodded, even though her chest was screaming. What she needed was comfort. What she got was comparison. Yes, they both had long days, but hers wasn't about meetings or traffic. Hers was about feeling invisible all day. And now, at home, the one place she hoped to be seen, she felt invisible again. She sat beside him on the couch, trying to feel close, but the gap between them felt too wide. She thought about saying more, about telling him what she really felt, that she was tired of feeling alone next to the person she loved, but something stopped her. Maybe it was fear, maybe it was knowing he wouldn't understand, or maybe it was just sadness that had built up over time. Jomo didn't notice. He thought everything was okay, because she didn't complain. But what he didn't see was how her heart was slowly closing off. Each time he missed her unspoken cries for help, a little part of her gave up, and she didn't know how to make him see it. She didn't know how to make him listen, not just with his ears, but with his heart. One evening, Zola sat across from her best friend, Mimi, in their favorite cafe. The smell of coffee filled the air, but Zola could barely taste hers. Her eyes looked tired, and her smile was weak. Mimi noticed right away. "Okay, spill it," she said, tapping her long nails on the table. "What's going on with you and Jomo?" Zola sighed deeply, looking down at her cup. "I don't know, Mimi. It's like we're together, but not really. I feel like I'm alone even when he's right there." Mimi leaned in, her voice louder, full of energy like always. "Girl, you need to talk to him. For real. Don't keep it inside. Open your heart. Make him understand how you feel." Zola nodded slowly, but her heart felt heavy. "I've tried, Mimi. I swear I have. But it's like he hears me, but he doesn't really hear me. Like I'm speaking a language he doesn't understand." Mimi reached out and held her hand. "Then teach him. Don't just walk around hurting in silence. He's not a mind reader. If you love him, fight for it. But don't lose yourself trying to stay quiet." Zola forced a small smile, but her eyes were filled with sadness. Mimi's words stayed with her. They echoed in her head for days. Talk to him. Make him understand. But every time she sat across from Jomo, ready to speak, her courage faded. She would open her mouth, then close it again. The fear of not being understood froze her. What if he brushed it off again? What if he said, "You're overthinking," like he always did? The days passed, and nothing changed. They still sat in silence, scrolling through their phones, pretending everything was fine. Zola felt like she was standing on one side of a wide, cold ocean. Jomo was on the other side, looking at her, but not seeing her, reaching for her, but never truly holding her. She wanted to scream, to cry, to beg him to meet her halfway, but she didn't. She just smiled and said, "Good night," like always. And the ocean between them kept growing. It was a quiet evening, just like many others. Zola and Jomo sat at the dinner table, eating in silence. The only sound was the ticking of the clock on the wall and the clinking of their spoons. Zola's chest felt heavy. Her heart was full of words, but her lips had kept them locked in for too long. She had spent months pretending that everything was okay, smiling when she was breaking, laughing when she wanted to cry. But tonight was different. As Jomo stood up to clear his plate, Zola's voice suddenly broke the silence. Why don't you hear me, Jomo? He stopped, confused. What? I said, why don't you hear me? She repeated, her voice shaking. Why don't you listen when I talk to you? I've been trying to tell you how I feel, but it's like I'm invisible to you. Jomo stood frozen, not knowing what to say. Zola's eyes filled with tears. Her voice grew louder, more desperate. I need you to listen. I need you to understand me, Jomo. I'm tired of feeling like I'm the only one trying. I talk, and you nod. I cry, and you say it'll be okay. But you don't really see me. Jomo's face was calm, but his eyes looked hurt. He opened his mouth, and after a pause he said softly, I hear you, Zola. I just don't know what you want me to say. His words fell like a stone in her heart. The room went silent again, but this time it was heavy. Zola wiped her tears quietly. Jomo looked down at the floor, unsure of what to do next. There was so much love between them, but it felt like love wasn't enough anymore. They both wanted the same thing, to feel close again, to feel understood, but they didn't know how to reach each other. Zola sat back down, her hands shaking. Jomo stayed standing, staring at the wall. They were in the same room, yet miles apart. And in that silence, they both wondered if this was the beginning of the end. Not because they didn't love each other, but because they didn't know how to fix what was broken. After that painful night, Zola packed a small bag and quietly left the house. She didn't slam the door. She didn't leave a note. She just needed space. Space to breathe. Space to think. She went to stay with Mimi, her best friend, who welcomed her with open arms and a warm blanket. For the first time in a long while, Zola didn't feel like she had to smile through her pain. She could finally let the tears fall without pretending. At Mimi's house, she spent most of her time in silence, just staring out the window or lying in bed. She replayed the relationship in her head over and over again. Where did it go wrong? When did they stop being happy? Why did it feel like she was shouting in a room where no one could hear her? Mimi tried to comfort her. Sometimes love isn't enough, Zola, she said softly. You both have to understand each other too. Meanwhile, Jomo sat alone in their quiet home. At first, he was angry that Zola left, angry that he didn't know what she wanted from him. But as the hours turned into days, something inside him began to shift. The anger faded, and what was left was pain. Late one night, he sat in the living room, staring at her empty chair at the kitchen table. He remembered her laughter, the way her eyes sparkled when she talked about her dreams, and he realized something. I've been talking to her every day, he whispered to himself, but I've never really heard her. He thought about all the times she had tried to open up, all the small hints she had dropped, all the times she looked at him with sadness, hoping he'd ask what was wrong, but he didn't. He thought he was doing enough. He thought being present was the same as being connected, but now he understood. It wasn't. Jomo placed his head in his hands. The love was still there, but it was buried under layers of unspoken words and missed chances. He wanted to fix it, but he didn't know how. Every time he tried to express his feelings, the words just didn't come out right. He sat there for a long time, the silence wrapping around him like a cold blanket, and for the first time, he truly felt what Zola had been feeling all along, alone. Zola sat by Mimi's window one morning, holding a cup of tea she hadn't even sipped. Her heart felt tired. She kept asking herself the same question. Did I choose the wrong man? Was Jomo ever the one for me? Or did I just love the idea of what we could be? She thought about how things used to be in the beginning, how he made her laugh, how safe she once felt. But now, all she felt was distance and confusion and sadness. At the same time, miles away, Jomo was walking slowly through the park, unsure of what to do. He had called his old neighbor Baba Kofi, a wise and kind man who had lived through many seasons of love and life. Jomo sat beside him on a wooden bench under a large mango tree, hoping for answers. He didn't even know what to say, but Baba Kofi didn't need much. You look lost, son, Baba Kofi said gently, his eyes full of kindness. I don't know how to fix it, Jomo admitted. I think I pushed her away. I talked, but maybe I didn't say the right things. Or maybe I didn't say enough. Baba Kofi chuckled quietly. Ah, you young people always think love is in the words, he said. But love, real love, is in the silence too. It's in the pauses, in the way you watch each other, care for each other, without needing to be told how. Jomo listened closely, every word sinking deeper. You see, Baba Kofi continued, love is not only about talking, it's about listening, deep listening. It's about being present, truly present when she's speaking. It's about hearing not just the words, but the feelings behind them. Sometimes words aren't enough. You must speak to her soul, not just her ears. Jomo looked down, his heart heavy. He realized in that moment he had always spoken to Zola with logic, with solutions, with plain facts. But he had never spoken with his heart. He never tried to understand her world, her inner pain, her unspoken hopes. He had always answered her, but he had never truly heard her. "Baba, I think I was talking at her, not to her," Jomo whispered. "Yes," Baba Kofi nodded, smiling warmly. "But now you know. The question is, what will you do with that truth?" Jomo felt something shift inside him. For the first time, he wasn't thinking about winning an argument or being right. He was thinking about how to show Zola that he truly sees her, that he's ready to learn a new kind of love, one that listens. Jomo stood outside Zola's apartment one evening, his heart racing with nerves. He had spent days thinking, reflecting, and finally understanding. It wasn't about saying the right things. It was about showing her that he truly cared, that he was ready to listen, and that he was willing to change. No more surface-level conversations, no more pretending. This time, he wanted to be real with her. When Zola opened the door, she looked at him warily, still hurt, but there was a flicker of hope in her eyes. She had no idea what to expect, but something about the way he stood there, so different from the man she had known, made her pause. Jomo didn't speak immediately. He simply reached out, took her hand gently, and without saying a word, asked her to walk with him. They didn't have a destination. There was no plan, no agenda. It was just them, side by side, walking together. The quiet between them felt different now. It wasn't the heavy silence they'd lived in before, full of misunderstandings and unspoken words. This silence was filled with something new, something promising. Zola could feel the change, though she wasn't sure if she was ready to trust it completely. But she allowed herself to hope again, just for a moment. Maybe, just maybe, things could be different this time. Jomo walked beside her, focusing not on what he was going to say next, but on every step they took together. He listened to the sound of her breathing, the rhythm of her footstep, and he realized something. He had been so busy trying to fix everything that he had never really seen her. This time, he wasn't rushing. This time, he was learning how to be there, truly there for her. Zola, still guarded, felt the weight of his presence. It was different. There was a gentleness in the air now, a feeling that wasn't forced or hurried. For the first time in a long while, she felt like she wasn't carrying the weight of their relationship alone. As they walked side by side, she wondered if this could really be the beginning of something new. Could she let go of her doubts? Could they rebuild what had been broken? Her heart fluttered, just a little, with the possibility. They didn't need words to start the journey. Just a simple walk, a shared moment, and the hope that things could change. For the first time in a long time, Zola felt like there was room for a new beginning, a real one. Zola sat across from Jomo one evening, her heart racing. For so long, she had kept her true feelings locked inside, afraid that no one would understand. She had been carrying the weight of her fears, her dreams, and the emotions she didn't know how to express. But tonight, something was different. Tonight, she was ready to let go of the walls she had built. She took a deep breath and finally spoke, her voice trembling slightly, but filled with honesty. "I've been scared, Jomo," she began, her eyes not meeting his. "I've been scared of being invisible, of being unheard. All I've ever wanted was to feel understood, to feel like you truly see me." Her words spilled out, raw and vulnerable, and for the first time, Zola didn't feel like she had to hide. "I've been hiding behind a smile, pretending everything is fine, when inside, I'm screaming for someone to listen, really listen." Jomo didn't say anything at first. He just looked at her, his gaze soft and steady. Zola felt his eyes on her, and it made her feel like she wasn't alone in her pain anymore. She continued, her voice a little steadier now. "I'm scared, Jomo, scared that I'm not enough, that maybe I'll never find someone who truly gets me, that I'll always be stuck in this cycle of feeling empty, even when I'm surrounded by people I love." When she finished, there was a long pause. Zola waited for Jomo to say something, but he didn't rush in with advice or solutions like he used to. Instead, he took her hand, his grip gentle and understanding. "I hear you," he said, his voice quiet but sincere, "and I'm sorry that I didn't listen before." Zola looked up at him, And for the first time, she saw something in his eyes that she hadn't seen before, a deep vulnerability. "I've been scared too," Jomo admitted. "Scared that if I open up, I'll lose you. I thought if I just kept things together, I'd protect us. But in trying to protect us, I pushed you away." Zola's heart softened. She had never heard him speak like this before. The words he shared weren't perfect, but they were real. She could feel the weight of his own insecurities, his own fears that had kept him from truly connecting. It wasn't a solution to everything, but it was a start. In that moment, Zola realized that they were no longer just talking. They were truly communicating, not with their mouths, but with their hearts. For the first time, she felt heard. She felt seen. It wasn't going to be easy. There was still so much to work through. But Zola knew that something had shifted. Maybe it wasn't perfect, but it was real. And for the first time in a long time, she believed that maybe they could build something stronger, together.
The months that followed were a slow but steady journey of growth. Jomo and Zola both knew things couldn't change overnight, but they were committed to trying. Jomo worked hard to understand Zola, to see the things she needed from him, not just the words, but the deeper emotions she longed to express. He learned to listen, truly listen, and not rush in with solutions or explanations. He began to recognize the way Zola's eyes lit up when she was excited about something, or how her voice softened when she was feeling vulnerable. He understood that sometimes what mattered most was simply being there, without trying to fix everything. Zola, too, learned to be patient with Jomo. She knew now that he wasn't perfect, just like she wasn't. They both had flaws and insecurities, but what mattered was that they were working together, not against each other. She learned to give him space when he needed it, understanding that not every moment needed to be filled with words. Sometimes, just sitting together in silence, their hands touching, was enough. They began to see each other in a new light, not as two people speaking past one another, but as two souls who were finally starting to connect on a deeper level. The things that had once felt like walls between them now became the foundation of their bond. Zola understood that love wasn't just about grand gestures or romantic speeches. It was about the little things, the quiet moments that spoke louder than words. A warm hug after a long day, a gentle touch on the arm to show they cared, a simple smile shared across the room. These were the moments that built their connection. Jomo, too, began to realize that love wasn't just about saying the right thing. It was about showing up day after day, even when things were tough. It was in the way he made her coffee in the morning without her asking, or how he listened to her talk about her day, even when he was tired. It wasn't always perfect, but it was real, and that's what mattered most. As time went on, their communication grew stronger. The misunderstandings that once seemed to tear them apart now became opportunities to learn and grow together. They no longer saw each other as two people who were just trying to make it work, but as partners, as two people who had finally learned to listen, not just with their ears, but with their heart. They understood now that love wasn't just about words. It was about the quiet moments, the small gestures, and the willingness to truly see each other. It was about understanding that sometimes the most important conversations are the ones that happen without words. Their bond was no longer fragile or uncertain. It was strong, built on a foundation of patience, understanding, and above all, a deep, unwavering connection. They had learned what it meant to truly be there for each other, and it made all the difference.